Well, why don't we officially get started here? I'm having everyone start by saying who you are, where you are, and brief comment on how we know each other.
Yeah. Well, I'm Nikki Barber, and
I'm Dylan Sevey.
and we play in the Minks. And we're in Nashville, Tennessee right now, quarantined up. And we know you because, well, yeah, just about 2 weeks ago we were up in York doing a show with you, that you put on, and yeah, like you said, my, how the times have changed in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was a great ending to hanging out with society, though. Sitting around your kitchen table, that was so nice.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
JJ, I honestly don't remember the exact first time we met. I assume it was at Sign of the Wagon.
Probably.
Smith and Whedon. It was either there or Newport, but it's been about 5 years for us, or something like that.
It's been a while, and we have so many friends in common. I'm finding the theme that keeps coming up through these is that I've met everybody either through Newport, James Maple, Zach Schmidt, or some combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learning things about my friends and about myself through this process. Yeah. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit. So the morning after, when you left for that tour, the tornado had just hit Nashville.
Yeah,
so you had to go out on the road with that going on, and then you had to come back when all of this started. So can you talk a little bit about what that's been like?
Well, it's definitely been a whirlwind, to say the very least. Like, it was crazy having that tornado hit. We felt, we were even debating, like, if we should stay in town to help clean up, like what we should do, because we just didn't want to leave, when that had happened. It was so surreal.
Yeah.
You walk around down there, even still now you walk around and it feels like a movie set or something, because it's so just not real, Yeah,
because you drive around certain parts of town, it looks completely fine and normal, and then you turn a corner and it's still
everything.
devastation.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but we decided ultimately to go. Everyone's like, you gotta keep the torch of music alive from Nashville, so we were like, okay, we're gonna do that. But we raised money and things while we were on the road for that, so that at least felt good in that sense. But yeah, it was crazy because at the start of the tour, that's like what everybody was talking to us about, when we get to a place, someone's like, you're from Nashville, oh my gosh, the tornado, and then by the end of the tour, it was like, what tornado? You know what I mean? It's like this virus is just like front page news, obviously. And so I don't know, it's crazy because people are still down there fixing the roofs on their houses, even though we're not allowed to leave our houses. It's wild.
Yeah, the fact that the tornado was this month, technically.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, like that's so. It's impossible. Yeah, like we left for that, and when we came back, there was a pandemic happening, and then, like, you forget, like, just in this year, we're not even 3 months finished, and there's been wildfires in Australia. Kobe Bryant died. It's like, it's already been the longest year that I can remember, and and we were ultimately only out, not even 2 weeks.
Yeah, we had to come home early, so it was, it happened so quickly. It's honestly just like really hard to wrap your brain around, I think. But I feel like each day, it kind of sinks in a little bit further. And we figure out more and more like how we're all going to make it work, so I feel like we're all accepting it each day too. So I don't know. I feel like despite all of it, we're staying pretty grounded, and, the whole world's being humbled right now. Like
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, there's no one who's not being humbled right now. So it's like, I don't know. I think if we can just keep our wits about us, it's a good sign.
Yeah. We were just talking last night about how hard it is for a lot of people to take something seriously without freaking out. And I know that that's what we're trying to do. I feel like a lot of people, the second that they decide to take something seriously, they start.
Well, paranoia.
Yeah, and I get it. You know, it is really difficult to not feel like that, especially when you see how serious this whole situation is. But you know, at the end of the day, like you got to try to keep your mind as best as you can. So we're trying.
Good. It sounds like you have a pretty healthy outlook on it so far.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive, honestly, you know, and take it day by day. Some days are better than others, you know, and dealing with it. But yeah.
Well, tell me, on a lighter note, have you gotten to listen to much music since you've been stuck at home? What are you listening to get you through it?
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of Patsy Cline. I don't know why. I love her so much. And just like her voice just puts me at ease. So I think like even from like a child, like that was what I always wanted to listen to. And like, so I don't know, maybe if it's like helping me cope in some way with the nostalgia of it, but just her
It's
voice.
like the music version of comfort food.
It is. It totally is. Her voice is just like butter. It's so smooth. And I've also been listening to a lot of Lucinda as well. Like it just like really in the last year I've gotten into her more, and it's just she's so good. I love the way she writes and everything. So it's been a lot of country ladies.
When I was,
What about you, Dylan?
I was gonna say when I was younger, my parents, I was really attached to my mom, and sometimes my mom would leave the room, and my dad would put on I Fall to Pieces while I was just bawling my eyes out, and they would laugh at me in the other room.
Oh.
So
His parents are the best.
my parents are doing really great. Yeah.
Do not be a sissy.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
But, no, I've been listening to a lot of things, but especially it just came out 2 days ago. But Lily Hyatt's new record, Walking Through.
Yes.
I mean, I've listened to the whole thing 3 times all the way through, and then certain songs even more than that. I mean, she deserves everything. I mean, she's such an incredible songwriter, musician, and one of, I mean, the coolest, nicest people. I mean, we've had the pleasure to know her and see her so many times, and all of her records are so good, and you know, it's such a big thing whenever an artist puts out a new record to be like, this is my best work yet. But like, I was halfway through the record the first time, and I texted her, I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing you've ever done. I mean, it's so good. And I've also been listening to a lot of this record that's meant a lot to me for a long time, which is New Morning by Bob Dylan.
Great one.
Yeah, he I mean, when that record came out, he was clearly searching for, you know, a sense of comfort, you know, amidst, you know, the craziness that he had been in the limelight for so many years. And there's a song in there I really love called Sign on the Window, where he sings, build me a cabin out in Utah, marry me a wife, catch rainbow trout, have a bunch of kids who call me Pa, that must be what it's all about. And I feel like at other times in his career, if he wrote something like that, there might be a sense of like irony or sarcasm or acidity to it, but he's so genuine and so sincere. And it's like, man, like if Bob Dylan was able to find that sense of clarity and peace, then I think we all can find a sense of that at least some point during this whole thing. So I've definitely been gravitating towards that record quite a bit the last couple weeks.
It's great. Did you get to hear his new song that just came out?
I haven't heard it yet.
It's wild.
Really?
Yeah, I've listened to it a couple times. I mean, you have to commit to it because it's 17 minutes long. But I mean,
sounds about right.
The first time I listened to it, I mean, I liked it right away, but I couldn't fully wrap my head around it. But on repeat listen, the one repeat listen I did, I was able to dig a little more into it, and it's pretty incredible. Have you listened to it?
I have. It came on WXPN out of Philly when I the only time I've left my house in the last 2.5 weeks was to go to the office and use their internet. And as I pulled in the parking lot, it came on. So I was like, well, I'm sitting here in the parking lot for 17 minutes.
This is my day now.
Yeah.
It's a commitment, and it's worth it.
Yeah. It's pretty great. I'd like to hear it again. I listened to your live stream last night. I really enjoyed it. And I wondered how you guys felt about it. It sounds like you might have had a little bit of technical challenges, but do you feel better prepared if you want to do that again?
It kind of looked like this for a lot of people, apparently. But
for us, we could see it. I don't know. It was fun. It was really strange to do that, to not, have an audience really to interact with. You see comments, but like we were far enough away that we couldn't even really read the comments. So it's like it's just like a whole new territory, of trying to figure out like how it's like you're playing a show for the first time. You know what I mean? You're like, what's it gonna be like? What's gonna go wrong? I don't know.
How do you like?
Can they hear it? I don't know.
Do you say thank you after a song if no one claps?
Right. And you're just like, it's funny because you're just like sitting in your living room by yourself, but like there's this weird, because like your phone's right there. There's this weird feeling that you just there's someone on the other side. It's like kind of like a secret ghost or something.
It feels kind of Orwellian. Like we're
it
playing
does.
for this machine.
Yeah, I'm like, do you like us, phone? Like, can you tell us? We're doing okay. You're not nodding your head. I don't know. But
I do feel like the chat is more for us as the listeners to talk to each other than to try to communicate anything to you. Because even if you could see it, I mean, you're playing,
Right. That's it's funny. But I know, like, had we been more consistent at checking, we would have realized that everyone couldn't see the thing right. But it's like that's totally fine. It's just like silly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when that happens, like I'm not upset about it. I'm just like, well, that's how it went, But I mean, like the whole thing is very raw, Like that's kind of exciting actually. That was fun to like strip down and play stuff in a different way. And then just be playing in our living room, trying out new things. So that was cool. And it felt good to be able to like play music for people again. Because I know, like how we're listening to a lot of music right now, and I'm sure you are too. Like that is music to me is a great coping method and a way to like stay sane, and it can stay consistent even when everything else isn't. And so for us to be able to like actually play a little show or do that, like it felt good to do that,
And it was nice. I went back a little later in the evening and kind of scrolled through and read a lot of the comments, and it was really cool to see what everyone was saying and really get that sense of we brought something good to people. We brought some happiness and some comfort and some music to people. And I mean, for whatever.
It's like our whole goal.
Yeah, exactly.
In life anyways, you know what I mean? So it's good to be able to do it in a time when you can't tour.
And for whatever reservations, we have about like, oh, this is weird, there's no audience, or like, we're not able to rock out or anything like that. For any of that, like, that's all kind of internal for us. I mean, most people are just thankful, that we're doing it. And that's what really matters. You're right. I mean, that's why we start playing music to begin with, to reach people. And so
it was fun to do something different than, we wouldn't have probably ever done like a live stream living room thing before. So, it's fun to explore like a new area of the music world, I guess. I don't. Yeah.
And now that you know which way to point the phone, that's a new thing in your toolbox for the future.
Exactly. We learned so much. I feel like I could just be in charge of a whole TV show now,
I mean, no spoilers.
I know.
Well, have you gotten to listen to or to tune in for anybody else's live streams? Are there any in particular that you've enjoyed watching? Or have you not gotten to do much of that?
We've done a few. My friends, the Blackfoot Gypsies, just did one recently, and they did it at the Purple Building down in 5 Points. Todd Snider, I think, just did one today too.
Yeah, I watched a little.
I saw a notification about that. Yeah.
And they just have like such a cool space going for live videos and stuff that to watch it felt like you were kind of like at the show. You know what I mean? So that was cool to see someone like going above and beyond and like making this space for people to be able to come and like actually have the show experience. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I have a really good friend from New Jersey named Cranston Dean who put together this series called Live from the USA. It's a group on Facebook, and every night, I think Tuesday through Saturday, he's had 3 to 4 people come on, play 25-minute sets, and he's super vigilant about, posting their Venmo, PayPal, Bandcamp, all that stuff. And I actually did a solo set for it on Friday night, and so I've tuned in a couple nights to that to see different people playing, and it's just cool to see so many people hopping on board. And
it's fun that you can just go on Instagram now and be like, oh, who's doing
who's
something?
playing
Like, I'll just
right in this moment. Yeah,
they're doing it. Like you get to like hang out in someone's living room. It's
and it was
in their life. It's cool.
It was funny too, because when I did my set on Friday night, our friend Julie Rhodes, who you also know, she was doing a setup in Boston too, and I was gonna text her and jokingly yell at her for doing a set at the same time as me, and then I realized, like, well, this would happen if we were speaking normally anyway. You always play the same nights as your friends, and so I'm like, oh,
that's a good point.
Some things don't ever change, I guess.
You mentioned Todd Snider. I want to put in a little plug here. I'm a huge Todd Snider fan. I'm also, all right, this is a huge fan.
Also a big Todd Snider fan.
Yeah, and my favorite podcast is Joe Pug's The Working Songwriter, and the most recent episode is an interview with Todd.
Oh, cool.
And he says at the beginning, this is not objective. This is a love letter to a man that I have really looked up to for a really long time, and they've been friends for a long time. But I highly recommend checking out that episode. It's so good.
Awesome.
So good.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, it's like now's the time.
If not now, when?
Yeah.
I've been listening to far too many podcasts than I'm comfortable admitting.
Any in particular you want to recommend?
Oh gosh.
Put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Well, there's I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Jeremy Dillon's podcast, My Favorite Album. It's really cool. He has a lot of musicians join him to talk about their favorite albums. Lily was on it a couple of years ago talking about I think it was No Code, the Pearl Jam record. Aaron Lee was on it talking about Revolver. There have been a bunch of great people on it. I listened to about 37 different Beatles podcasts because I'm a freak.
I believe that.
But
I believe
something about the Beatles in particular is great. I did the theme music for Two Legs.
I liked that one we were listening to in the last trip where it was like, they're like describing you as a person all the time.
Oh yeah.
What's that called?
It's called Imagined Life, and basically it tells the story of a famous person. Oh, Erin Ray just started a live video. She's trying to compete with us right now. It tells the story of a famous person, but doesn't. And
you're in there.
Yeah, like you are the person. So it's like, if you're Bob Dylan, it's like, you grew up in Hibbing, Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. But you have to guess who it is at the very end.
And they like slowly give you more clues.
Yeah, like by the end of it, it's kind of like, you should have this, but if you don't already have it, you're an idiot. This is who you are. But it's really, really good.
They execute it well. But that was cool one that I've never heard before.
Invisibilia by NPR is really great. Talks about all the invisible things that makes us, which is, really cool. I know. And again, way too many that I'm comfortable admitting. So.
Well, it's a good time to catch up on them.
30 minutes plenty, though. Yeah, there you go. Add it to the list.
And I was just looking here. The one that you mentioned, the favorite album one, reminds me of a book that I thought should be here on my music bookshelf, but I must have loaned it to somebody and not gotten it back because I'm famous for that.
Probably.
But Bob
Whoever
Boilen
you
did a
are.
book of, what's up?
Said whoever you are.
We're watching.
Yeah. If you're watching, give me my book back. It's Bob Boilen's book, Your Song Changed My Life, where every chapter is a different person, like musical figure, saying, here's the song that was really a turning point for me in whatever way.
Bob is such a great writer. I bet that that's an incredible book.
You know, the year that book came out, I was still reading it. It must have come out in the spring. And that summer, I took it with me to Newport, and I threw it in my backpack each day as I was walking around the festival. And because I knew I would run into him, and I wanted to ask him to sign it. And when I did run into him, I asked him to sign the book, and he looks at it and he's like, why do you have this here right now? And I was like, because I wanted to find you, because you're ubiquitous.
And that's
so
when
my
he got
signed
the
copy
restraining
is.
order against you.
What's that?
I said, and that's when he got the restraining order against you.
Yeah, so somewhere floating around in the world is my signed copy of Bob Boilen's Your Song Changed My Life. I recommend that. I've been wrapping up all these conversations by asking people to give me your spiel of, number one, how we can find more information about you and what you do, and number two, how we can best support you right now during all of this, but also moving forward once this is done,
Yeah.
whenever that may be.
Well, yeah, I guess you can find us, on Instagram, obviously, and Facebook, and we have all of our music, up on Spotify and all the usuals. You can also go to our website and buy your vinyl instead of just digitally. But I guess how you can support us right now is, we're trying to keep posting, new videos and things that we do of our songs, and just stay in touch. We're working on a little show that we might be putting out soon, so I won't say too much on that yet, but just keep your eyes peeled for that. And then within that, like, we have like virtual tip jars and stuff that you can support if you have the means, or buy our merch, definitely. We know that everyone's struggling right now, so we totally understand if you can't, but literally anything helps so much right now. And I guess in the future, as soon as we can, we're already working on, rescheduled dates and things like that, and new things into the fall and winter. So just as soon as we get out there again, if you're in the area, come to a show, let's get back out there soon and just keep supporting each other any way we can,
Yeah.
So.
Hi, Becca Moncari. Yeah, and I guess the only thing that I would add to that is to share the music, not just the Minks, but any artist that you love, that is, struggling during this time. And, it's one of those things, obviously, a lot of people are, in the music industry and service industry, especially, but all over the place, non-essential workers aren't working and making money. So I think we all kind of understand that not everyone's going to be rushing out to, buy a vinyl with all the money they're not making. But if you share it with someone that that might like it or might have the means, then please do that and keep doing that in the future.
And wash your hands. Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
That's my best friend, who is an EMT and is off today, telling us to wash our hands.
Well,
and
yes.
Does he also double as the lead singer of the smash hit Massachusetts rock band Stained?
No, that's why he's the other Aaron Lewis.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. He used to open up his open mic nights that he hosted by saying, I'm not the famous one. If you're here to hear that, you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, man. What a name.
He may never reach the height of Aaron.
When we share this video,
share your music.
Yeah, dude, Jesus.
When we share this video later, we're downloading the videos and we're going to share them to the Cable House Presents YouTube channel. But the chat does not come through when we download the videos. So for everybody who's watching this later, Aaron just replied and said, "Fuck you." And there's a little bit of a delay on the chat, so I'm assuming that's asking if he was from the Massachusetts rock band Stained.
I'm a New England boy, man. Their sense of pride. So
Dylan, you're originally from where?
I'm originally from Wakefield, Rhode Island, about 30 minutes south of Providence.
Okay, so near Providence. And Nikki, you're from up this way, right?
Yeah, I'm from Hanover, Pennsylvania, like Gettysburg, pretty much. Yeah.
It's really crazy because I found out about the Minks through Brian Wright and through Aaron Lee Tashian and some other friends. So I've been kind of following you guys, and then I got the chance to book you and have you come up here and play Cable House. And it was not until after I booked you that I found out Dylan was the drummer, and I already knew Dylan. And then it wasn't until you were about to go on stage that night that I realized that, Nikki, you're from, what, 30, 40 minutes away from here.
Yeah. Lived there.
Yeah, and your folks were there. And...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a whole family affair that night.
You guys are full of surprises. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Is there anything else you want people to know before we wrap up?
I don't know. The final word's always the hardest. I guess, just like Dylan said, just keep listening to music, keep the art alive, even if it's not just music, people were writing books, people are painting beautiful pictures, any of that. Just keep sharing it around and keep looking for that in life. We can if we all can stay positive, I think it'll help us get through this that much easier. Stress kills, so let's not be stressed.
And stay safe, stay healthy, and no matter what the president says, maybe don't go out around Easter. That might not be a good target date.
Coming up really quick, Easter.
It sure is.
Don't worry, we're gonna have it all up and running. It's gonna be great.
Hold on.
Well, I hope I do see you before too long. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. And for those of you who are going to stick with me here, my last interview of the day, I'm here by myself with aggressively affectionate cats.
Yeah.
Me and Mrs. D here, our last interview of the day is with Stephen from Spirit Family Reunion, coming up at 5 p.m. on the hour. So tune back in here at 5. And thank you guys so much. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you, JJ. Bye.
See ya.
That's how I do it.